Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. We're going to be playing Minami today, and I just saw the last lines that was set on there. I totally forgot that Seiya came and just took her away from Minami. We left with a little bit of tension there at the end of the last episode, and I totally forgot all about it. I know Minami did confess his feelings for her, and for his wish or whatever, he said, promise me like you won't do anything for me ever again. Like, don't do anything for me anymore. He can't stand it, or he's gonna fall in love with her. But then before she left, she was like, please think of something else because I can't do that. And Seiya took her away. I mean, she needs to go back to the Khalifa tree anyway, or she's gonna die. Since parting ways with Minami, Seiya and I had been bickering back and forth. I know, right?
あなたは南にさらわれたのでしょ。それなのに、どうして私を止めたのですか?
That's not exactly true. I wasn't abducted. Until I clear up this misunderstanding, I don't think he'll let me go. Besides, I realized it was moot at this point, given that I'd run away, but I still wanted Seiya to understand what I was doing. You should have let Seiya take care of him, says her voice quiet. I admonished my other self and looked directly at Seiya. I wasn't abducted. I chose to leave with Minami. I initially fell asleep to warn him that you were coming to kill him. He seemed to read my thoughts, understood the situation, and helped me break out of here. As expected, Seiya was lost for words. Still, I continued. That just goes to show how much I didn't want you to kill Minami. Seiya's voice twisted. He clearly didn't understand what I was trying to say.
どうして嫌だったのですか?
I didn't want him to disappear. Being honest with him might make me sound insane, but wouldn't you feel guilty lying to him? Oh, well, truth isn't the right path. Lie or be honest. I don't like this other self of hers. It's arguing with her, and I don't know if it actually serves a purpose in this, but whatever, it's fine. We're on chapter 7. I'm gonna save this. We're gonna have a save file here. I think it said be honest, but I'll have to double check in a second. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. Shut up, self. I'm not listening to you. I decided to be totally honest with him. No one should ever be erased forever, not even the demon that's after my soul.
まんまと南の思惑にはまっていますよ。
Not a trap, just fall in love with him. Seiya is quite right. You stay quiet. This is so annoying. Why does she have to argue with herself? I had expected Seiya to reject my thoughts, but I wasn't ready to back down just yet. This is a mistake. All I'm doing is facing down my burden. In the mortal realm, I avoided facing my fears with my career path. I think the God that sent me here saw that and wanted to show me the importance of facing my fears even when I don't want to. If I keep running from my problems, that won't lead to anything good. I think that's what the God is trying to tell me. Sure, I resented the God for sending me here, but if that was the case, then accepting my fate and facing my burdens is what I have to do. It's the only way for me to go home. I don't want to run away anymore. Poor Seiya. I know. Like, can we just go back to your route? Seiya's brows furrowed, his expression soured.
あなたのその瞳には一点の曇りもなく迷いがない。いくら私が言っても聞かないでしょうね。ですが、南があなたを追ってここに来たら、私は迷うことなくあれを消します。
If you do that, you'll end up hurting me. After all, this was my battle to fight. Finally, I think I understand. My burden isn't just Minami, it has to do with Seiya too. I had to learn to stand firm and say what I really thought. I need to stop worrying about what others think and live my own life. Let me say it clearly. If you do that, you'll be taking away my burden, my challenge to overcome. Please don't take away my struggle. It's mine to overcome. With that, silence descended upon the room. For a moment, I thought of Minami, wondering if he was sensing my thoughts. What would he think of all this?
私としたことがいけないな。あなたを無事に返して差し上げたい。その願いが強すぎて本質を見誤っていました。
They stood up, then bowed deeply to me.
勝手な真似をして申し訳ありませんでした。
Relief washed over me, and I weakly fell onto the chair behind me. They looked up, saw me, and chuckled softly.
どうやら私はあなたの悩みの種だったようですね。
Yay, are we friends again? No, not that much of it. I got it from the chair, straightened myself, and looked back at him. Having you by my side helped me stay sane, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Then it was my turn to bow. They touched my shoulder, prompting me to look up at him.
私にはもうあなたは立派に成長したように見えます。ここに来た当初とは顔つきがまるで違う。
Every time I see Seiya's face, I just think of her rejecting him, and it just makes me sad.
きっとうつしよに帰った後も人生に迷わず歩んでいけるでしょう。
Thank you so much. I smiled at him, my heart feeling lighter than it had in ages.
ですが無事に帰ってほしいという願いは変わりません。
Seiya handed me his gun. I stared down at it, wide-eyed, and shook my head. I don't want this. I have no intention of hurting Minami.
あなたの身を案じることは許していただきたい。これだけは譲れません。
Just carry it around, feel the weight of it in your pocket, and just know that it's there. That would make me so nervous. Seeing how concerned he was, I knew I couldn't refuse. He's been worried about me from the start. He kissed my hand, then my forehead, as his way of praying for my safety. Looking at the gun, I finally wrapped my fingers around it, accepting it. What a relief. Now we can protect ourselves if we have to. Goodness. Holding the gun made me anxious, and I flinched at the thought. No, that's not why I...
Misa さん、どうしたのですか?
She's going crazy. Help her. Nothing. Seiya looked worried. If I mention the voice in my head, he'll think I'm just exhausted. I guess that voice is just another part of me that shows up when I'm really anxious. Well, can you make it be quiet? Perhaps it was something I created to deal with my worries. I promise I'll return this to you when I return home.
ええ、お願いします。ああ、それからローブも持って行きなさい。ないと困るでしょ。
I'm sure it would be helpful, but... Are you taking it? Don't accept the robe. Accept it first. Yes, I'm sure it will come in handy. Thank you. I accepted the robe from I accepted the robe from Seiya and draped it around me. He doesn't look happy. With that, I can walk around town without having to worry.
力になれることがあれば、いつでも頼ってください。
Seiya's gaze was always serious, unflinching, yet filled with warmth. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything. I bowed deeply and left. Alright. Alright, don't accept the robe. No, thank you. I'm pretty sure Minami wouldn't like it if I showed up with that. No, right? I can never accept the robe and the gun.
南に心まで奪われてはいませんよね。
There you go, you figured it out. His suspicious glance made my heart skip a beat. But why is my heart racing? I couldn't make sense of this feeling. No way, totally not at all. I laughed it off, but Seiya's scrutinizing gaze followed me as I retreated out of the room. Bye. We're done here. Alright, time to head back to Minami's. Walking tall and proud, I felt a gentle breeze grace my face. Glancing over, I saw the massive Khalifa tree, its white flowers in full bloom. So calming here. Seeing the flower petals scattered around the ground, I gently bent down to pick one up.
それ、何に使う気？
Uh-oh. Don't get caught. But that was a very accusing voice. Oh my goodness. Look at that face. Hearing Minami's voice, I turned around and saw him in the hallway. I can't believe he came all the way here. I quickly ran towards him. Minami. He is so upset with you. Minami glared at me. His cold stare stopped me right in my tracks.
どうして俺を助けた？
His voice was deeper than I had ever heard before, a sign of his anger at the actions I'd taken to save him. That gun, it's no ordinary gun. It could have killed you, Minami, so I mean, if you had been shot, you would have...
そういうことを言ってるんじゃない!
Oh, goodness. He yelled, making me jump back.
俺のためにするお前の言動が気持ち悪い。それなのに嬉しくてどんどん心が揺らいでいく。やめろって言ったじゃないか。
Minami sighed, his bitterness causing my heart to ache. I worried that I had made the wrong decision to try and save him. But I couldn't just stand by. I don't want you to die, Minami. Our discussion was at a standstill, impossible for us to find common ground. Minami closed his eyes tightly and then... Oh. When he reopened them, I found all my strength had left my body. You messed up just now. I wonder if he's going to kill you now. That's not... I couldn't deny the possibility. Minami approached me slowly, a knife in his hand. He's that desperate for my soul, huh? Well, I guess that makes sense. It wasn't a shock, I understood. He wanted to continue being a demon. He wanted to steal my soul. I hadn't thought he was willing to go this far, but... Remember what Seiya taught you? Oh. Instantly, I sharpened my focus. I made sure my willpower was strong enough to resist the demon's stare. But even then, Minami continued to walk towards me, putting the knife to my stomach. If I moved even an inch, it would slice me wide open.
今すぐ俺と魂の契約をしろ。しないならこのまま腹を刺す。
You are going crazy.
安心しろ。死なない程度に痛めつけるから。体も心も弱りきったお前なら洗脳しやすい。
His eyes burned with madness as he stared at me. However, I recognized that madness wasn't all that filled his gaze. Oh, I'm surprised Seiya hasn't found him yet. I knew. I saw it. Faint waver in his eyes. I won't give in to this demon. Instantly, I found myself able to move. Oh, phew. We can kill him now. Go on, take out the gun. Do it. Oh my goodness, can her inner self just shut up? Like, is there any point to hearing it now? Like, it helped her get home, right? Get back to Seiya at the end of chapter 5 or whatever, but, like, is it necessary now? I don't understand. What are you saying? It's kill or be killed. What? I'm not going to kill him, and I'm not going to let him kill me. I quieted the voice in my head and spoke slowly. I am the same as you. His eyes wavered even more.
お前、呪縛を。
He appeared shaken, but I didn't pause. I merely continued with confidence. If I had left everything to Seiya, I might have eliminated you and returned home. You're a burden to me after all. Makes sense, right? But I couldn't let him do that. My actions to stop Seiya were born of instinct, but they came from the heart. I've come to realize my feelings about you are changing. I saw his grip on the knife loosen and it dropped to the ground. Minami clutched his throat, showing signs of distress.
苦しくてどうにかなりそうだ。欲しいものは2つあって、でも1つしか手に入らない。どちらとも欲しくてたまらないのにさ。
I'm going to return alive without killing you. Surely there's a way. Which is why I won't give up.
お前、ほんとうざい。
Minami looked furious as he gazed down at the ground.
お前が諦めないなら、もういい。はあ、降参だ。
Surrender to what? You surrender?
てか、もう限界。
Suddenly, Minami weakly sat on the ground. What's the matter?
カリファの空気に当てられてるぜ。ずっと踏ん張ってたけどもう限界。
Oh, that's right. The Khalifa flowers are toxic to him. Well, let's just go home. We can figure it out later.
帰るってなんかいいね。当たり前みたいに一緒って感じ。
Is he surrendering her soul? Is that what he's surrendering to? Minami finally smiled, but it made my smile fade. Before, he was ready to kill me, but just as quickly, he reverted to his old self. Reached out to help him up. I helped Minami to his feet, wrapping an arm around his shoulders for support.
ねえ、さっきの言葉。俺の存在が変わってきてるっていうあれだけど。
He's seriously going to bring that up now.
だって気になるんだもん。
After what he just did to me, I thought he wanted to cut off his feelings towards me.
どういう風に変わってきてるの？教えてよ。
It's hard to put it into words. I'm not exactly sure how to express these feelings.
はあ？何それ？最低だな。
Says the guy who just threatened me with a knife. It was rare to see him speechless, and I chuckled silently to myself. But it's true, I'm starting to feel differently.
好きってこと？
He said that so sweetly. Well, I'm not exactly sure, but...
身を挺してでも守ったんだから好きってことじゃないの？好きじゃないとあんな風にしないでしょ。
Gosh, okay, I get it. Calm down. The way Minami spoke without flinching made me blush.
うわ、ちょっと顔赤いんだけど、それってやっぱり好きってことじゃん。
He sounds so excited. No, like, I like you more like a friend? You're lying.
友達なんてやだ。
I know, right? As he spoke, he pulled me close and... Oh my goodness. I was at a total loss for words. Suddenly his face was inches from mine and our lips met. Oh my goodness, he kissed her!
これで友達解消だね。
That's so funny. He's like, aha, we're not friends now. This is such a different CG than anything we've ever had so far. It's like 2 in 1. My lips barely touching, but Minami continued to whisper, his breath tickling my lips. I felt blood rush to my face and my body swooned in his arms. Feeling overwhelmed, I pushed Minami away. What are you doing?
痛い！弱ってるやつを突き飛ばすなんてひどい！
Poor Minami. Like, that was such a sweet moment too. She's just too afraid to admit she likes the demon. Excuse you, you're the one who's out of line here. What were you thinking?
じゃあ宣言したらよかった？キスします、キスしたいです、キスさせてくださいって。
I mean, no one else made a public declaration like that either, so... Please allow me to kiss you. That's not the point.
わあ、怒られた！俺悪いこと何もしてないのに、したいことしただけなのに。
I was legitimately angry with him, and Nami just collapsed on the floor, flailing about. He was acting so childishly, I could only sigh. Yet at the same time, my heart was racing in spite of myself.
ねえ、起こしてよ。 俺力入らなくて無理。ミサちゃんって。
Despite my frustration, I reached out to help him up.
ああ、体だるい。このまま手つないでて。
He's gonna take full advantage of this. I think it's fine, but let me just double check. Yeah. I'm gonna say no. No way. Not after what you just did. I was firm and released his hand.
ああ、ひどい女。なんでこんなの好きになっちゃったんだ。
This is so really annoying. Minami pouted and turned away, his eyes growing cold. That's funny. They're like, they're both just a bunch of kids just pouting over each other.
ああ、体だるい。このま
I
ま
say,
手つ
fine. We'll do it. Fine then.
ねえ、俺にだけ優しくしていて。他のやつに触れるのを許したりしたら嫉妬で気が狂いそうになるから。
He smiled peacefully, and his eyes did not share that sentiment. That'd be so creepy. I mean, Seiya was the same way, so the thought of him getting jealous made me shiver, and I fretted about the potential things he could do.
ねえ、ほんと怖いよね。他人のことで気が狂うかもしれないなんて気持ち悪い。
It's repulsive. I knew he was talking about himself. It wasn't the first time he's spoken like that to me, and it no longer seemed to bother me.
他人の気が狂う姿を見ていて愉快でたまらなかったのに、自分がこうなるなんて全く嫌になっちゃう。俺の感情を揺さぶるなんて、お前は大した人間だよ。
Despite his protest, Minami looked like he felt genuinely tender towards me. He also seemed surprisingly cheerful, prompting me to stifle a giggle. Finally, we made our way back to town, but...
さーて、どっかで遊ぶ？それとも、俺ん家に帰る？
I'm surprised they just got out of there without Seiya even noticing. Minami seemed to be back to his usual self. Sure. Then uncomfortable, I could only give him a vague answer. Felt chills running down my spine at the looks I got from the various people in town. I didn't like walking around without the HO robe.
おーい、俺の話聞いてないでしょ。
Oh, sorry.
ん？
Minami seemed to notice my discomfort and began to look around.
あ、そういうこと。よし、ここからは俺のターンだな。
Go beat up everyone who's looking at her. Take over? He pulled me close and wrapped his arm around me.
こいつに手出すやついたら殺すよ。
He shouted cheerfully. Hey, what are you doing?
だってこう言っておけば、お前を狙おうなんてやからいないでしょ。
He was puzzled by my reaction and genuinely believed that he was being helpful. I doubted anything I said would change his mind, and it was too late anyway.
ねえねえ、俺が守ってやったら、お前も俺を好きになるでしょ？
I mean, she already does like you. You already know that. Minami was very close, smiling at me. His words were so arrogant, but seemed to fit with his personality. It doesn't matter. You don't care about my feelings, do you?
最初はそれでいいって思ってたけど、今。
He's blushing. Minami glanced at me, his intense look making my heart flutter.
抱きしめても抱きしめ返されなかったら満たされなくなっちゃってさ。キスも舌を絡められないとぬくもりを感じられないっていうか。
I couldn't help but cover my face. His bold words made me blush. I know, right? I covered my face too. I don't want anyone sticking their tongue in my mouth. He spoke as if it was nothing to him.
欲しいものは今までいっぱいあったけど、愛情が欲しくなったのは初めて。
Aw, that's adorable. His words were so sincere and deeply human, but Minami seemed unable to fully embrace this genuine feeling of his. If I were to put it in his own words, You find these emotions disgusting, right? Minami smiled and nodded.
でも一度欲しいと思ったものは絶対に手に入れたい。
There you go. There's no getting out of his grasp now.
満たされすぎるくらいのたくさんの愛情。お前の愛情は一滴も他に与えさせない。すべて俺に注いでもらう。
It's funny, like at HO, he was just like, he couldn't accept it, but now he's like, he's all in now.
それくらいじゃないと嫌なんだよね。
His intense declaration made me wince, feeling overwhelmed by his all-consuming love. I know, it's worse than Seiya.
なんでそんな表情すんの？嫌な感じ。
I mean, all this sounds very much like you, Minami, but I'm not sure that's the feeling I want.
じゃあ少しも意識してないの？
Faced with his question, I found myself unable to respond.
役割。
Don't be so quick to assume that. I realized how vigilant I had to be around Minami. Amid our playful banter, we had somehow wandered out of town. Be vigilant. After returning to Minami's home, we sat at a table facing each other. Why don't I get any perspective changes? Dang it. I needed to figure out how I felt about him and with my soul. I was curious as to why he was so intent on getting my soul. I knew that he wanted it, but it almost felt like an obligation to him.
ねえ、隣に座りたいんだけど。
You can't. We need to have a serious talk. I pressed on. I need to know something. Why do you want my soul so much? Minami paused and looked away before responding.
俺が俺であるため、お前の魂がないと、俺は悪魔であることさえ忘れる気がする。
What?
自分が何者なのかわからなくなっていく苦しみが、お前にわかるか？悪魔だったのに、この腹の中にある魂のせいで。
He seems irritated, almost resentful towards it. Then he looked at me as if recalling something.
ああ、でも、お前にも少しは理解できるかもしれないな。進路のことで悩むお前がそうだったんだから。
What?
お前、どういう人間になりたいかって悩んでただろう。やりたいことが見つからなくて、進む道がわからなくて苦しんでた。
Actually, I see things a little differently now. Ironically, thanks to that god. Being forced out of my reality, and after meeting Minami and Seiya, I experienced so many different things. Amidst all these trials, I come to realize the value in confronting my problems. When I return, I'm determined to tackle my future career head on. I still don't have a goal or something to aim for just yet, but I'm not going to keep running away from my problems. As I spoke, dizziness overcame me.
おい！
Unable to support myself, I leaned on the table. This feeling. Until then, it was just fatigue, but suddenly I felt truly sick.
ここの空気のせいで、だんだんと弱ってきているな。
Minami approached, effortlessly picked me up, and carried me over to his bed. We're not done talking.
話し合いはもういい。意味がないんだから。それよりも、今は眠れ。
Go to bed. Though his tone was cold, he gently laid me down on the bed. Fine, we need to talk more. Lately, I had been falling asleep more quickly, and I had also begun to feel truly ill. My instincts told me I was running out of time.
いいから言うことを聞け。
So there's so many choices all at once. I'm gonna say, okay, but first, I don't have time. I can't. We need to discuss this now. I mean, my time is running out.
それなら、無理やりにでも寝かせてやる。
Release sleeping gas. Minami lay down next to me and pulled me close to him, essentially trapping me in his arms. Seeing that he wouldn't give up, I gave in. It's that sweet scent again. It was Minami's unique scent, oddly soothing, and it put me right to sleep. Back to the CG. Alright, I think we can go back.
いいから言う。
I say, okay. You're right, okay. I'll follow your advice, Minami.
素直に言うことを聞いてくれるのはいいんだけど、そういうお前って気色が悪いね。
He can't just help himself. Minami lay down next to me, pulling me close. It's that sweet sin again. It was Minami's unique scent, oddly soothing, and put me right to sleep. Perhaps because I was in his embrace, but his aroma made me feel at ease. It was an odd contrast to how I used to feel around him. Thanks to you, Minami, I think I'll be able to sleep well. The scent brought me back to the moment we first met when I lost consciousness. It was the fragrance that lulled me to sleep. I'm feeling sleepy already.
お前に分からせてあげ。俺の苦しみを。
His voice faded into the distance. I'm like, it better not be ending. We've only recorded for 30 minutes. Misa Ishiki closed her eyes peacefully and fell asleep. She lay in my arms unresponsive. Yet I held her close. The feel of her body in my arms, her scent, the warmth of her being alive, I cherished it all. There will come a day when I can't feel this anymore.
お前とここに帰ってくる間中、ずっと考えていたんだけど、一緒にいられる未来なんてやっぱりないみたい。
I loved her, yet I knew there was no chance that we could be together.
ハッピーエンドなんてありえないって教えてあげる。知るといいよ。諦めるってこと。
No, she must learn. All that there can ever be between us is despair. So you want to tell her something in the dream. Is this a dream? Vast sunset stretched before me. As the scenery faded away, large mountains, a simple home, and a dirt path appeared. It all felt very ancient. I'd seen this place before. In the memory Minami shared with me, this was where he met that man. Then that must have meant... As a young demon, I lived by haunting people's dreams, showing them nightmares and feeding on their fear. Creating nightmares was effortless for me. I was born with that power. But that was it. I could merely show them things. I couldn't sway them. I didn't have the power to sway someone's emotions. I hated that powerless feeling. I was doomed to remain powerless for the rest of my life. But I had all but given up hope. But he was different. His heart, filled with shadows and stress, somehow comforted me. Night after night, I plunged him into despair, slowly penetrating the depths of his heart. If he had a weakness, then even I could take advantage of him. That realization gave me confidence. With him, I believed a soul pact was within my grasp. And indeed, it happened. I was able to take his soul for myself. Yet from that moment on, I was the one tormented by nightmares. His soul was too pure, never fully bending to my will. Worse, his traits began seeping into me. He often neglected his own desires. He possessed a strong desire to care for others. He was a man filled with a sense of justice. Such attributes overwhelmed me, turning into a poison that rotted me from within. It was toxic to me. I felt sick, yearning to expel him, as that sensation consumed me day after day. Yet once a soul was taken, it was extremely hard to expel. But there was one way. By consuming another soul of equal purity to nullify the first. Goodness. Yet a soul with a purity like this was hard to find. Each soul is unique after all. After years of searching, though, I finally found her, a human girl with a soul as pure as the man I met before.
それがお前の魂だ。今を逃したら 俺はまた何年かかるかわからない魂探しに逆戻り。そうこうしているうちに、俺は俺じゃなくなっていく。
I like both sad and angry at his situation. But that's what all this is about. Thinking back, Minami had mentioned something similar when we first met.
ああ、そうだよ。こいつの魂が欲しくて欲しくてたまらなくてさ。長い間待っていた甲斐があったよ。こうして手の届く範囲に来てくれて。
Now I understood what he meant by that. He waited so long for a soul like mine, watching me from the mortal realm, waiting for his chance. My soul was irreplaceable to him.
自分じゃなくなっていくっていうのがどれだけ恐ろしいことか。お前にわかる？死と同等だ。
I couldn't tear my eyes from him. He looked shattered and trembled violently. I'd never seen him so scared. The reason he couldn't give up on my soul was because he'd lose himself without it. But I, too, wait. What if Minami isn't my burden? For a moment I thought about giving up. Suddenly I was consumed with despair and everything before me went dark.
やっとわかったようだな。俺を説得するのは無理だと。
I had no response. He seemed to revel in my reaction, his face wide with a smirk as he spoke.
お前はここの空気に染まっていくほど弱っていく。俺はだんだんと自分を見失っていく。二人して絶望だ。
The end.
諦めろ。お前は俺を消さない限り帰れないんだ。
No matter how I looked at it, all hope seemed lost. Maybe because this was Minami's dream, when I most needed to hear the other voice in my head remained silent. But I can't believe in relying on that other me now. What should I do? It's find the best route. I don't think it's a save. So, fall into despair first. I found no answers. All I can do was stare down at the floor. Minami offered a wry smile.
まあ、他に道がないわけじゃない。
He muttered almost to himself. He snapped his fingers. And my consciousness sank into an even deeper darkness. Goodness, no! Go back! Alright. We're going to find the best route. Despite the darkness and that hope seemed lost, I knew nothing good would come from falling into despair. We'll find a way for both of us. Minami shot me a dubious look.
きれい事だ。お前は俺を消すこと以外に帰る道はない。俺は、まあ、お前を殺して憂さ晴らしてもするかな。
Minami joked, igniting my anger. Stop saying things like that. One of us sacrificing ourselves isn't the solution. Gently touched the glass, separating us, longing to be close to him. I'm serious about this, so don't run away, Minami. You need to think hard about this too. I spoke earnestly, both to him and to me.
お前がそれを言うか。現実では嫌なことから逃げてばかりいたお前が。神もさぞ喜んでることだろうよ。思い通りにことが運んでさ。
Minami's dismissive tone forced a long sigh out of me. You give up so easily. Hard to believe there's anything with a strong will inside you. He touched his chest where that man's soul was. His face couldn't hide his surprise. You've been a great demon, at least to me. He blushed. His cheeks seemed to flush red and he looked pained.
これは計算か。
Am I wrong? I looked at him triumphantly. Minami took a deep breath and then smiled.
ああ、ダメだね。
He suddenly snapped his fingers. Perhaps it was his way of helping me rest, and I soon fell into a dark sleep. I'm like, we better still get the perspective change or I'm going back. I rose, gazing at her sleeping beside me.
お願いだから。もう諦めて。
If you decide to give up, I'll support you.
好きだよ、ミサ。
Aw, he said it. The words barely left my lips when a warmth filled my heart. This warmth should feel wrong, but...
そんなに悪くないのかもね。
She continued to sleep and I picked her up.
お前の居場所はもうここじゃないよ。
It was a mistake for me to bring her here, but I couldn't help it. Her words made me... Well, let's just go home. We can think about it more later.
帰るってなんかいいね。当たり前みたいに一緒って感じ。
Hearing that filled me with such happiness, I instinctively drew closer to her. Even though I knew she was growing weaker each day, she could only survive a short while outside of HO. So...
ああ、体だる。
He says he feels so gross, but it's so adorable. He's bringing her back. He cares so much for her. He's willing to go into HO, risk Seiya, take her and put her by the tree. She was still asleep when I settled her on the bench by the Khalifa tree. Suddenly, something from Misa's bag fell out. Uh-oh. I bent down to pick it up and found that it was the gun Seiya had aimed at me. I couldn't help but suppress a chuckle.
へえ、こんなの持ってたんだ。
I picked it up and smiled.
いいこと思いついちゃった。
Oh no, it gives him a good idea. Oh my goodness. Quickly, I slipped the gun into my pocket. I swear, if you try to aim that at Seiya, I'm gonna be so upset. My intentions haven't shifted. I'm certain Misa understands that now. Moreover, she's fully placed her trust in me. Don't trust a demon with that gun.
ダメだ。笑ってる場合じゃないっつうの。空気悪。
It's like gonna be sick. Feeling weak, I attempted to walk away. Uh-oh.
珍しいお客様ですね。まさかここに来るとは。
He found you this time. Seeing Seiya approach me made me grimace.
わ、会いたくない顔。
彼女のためにここまでするとは随分と変わったのですね。
バカ言うな。俺は何も変わってない。
何か企んでいるなら今度こそ容赦しませんが。
あっそ。好きにしたら？
Ignoring Seiya's threat, I walked away. Bye, Seiya. Chapter 8, I knew it was getting close. We were at like 50 minutes in, so... Let's see, there's 8 and 9, right? 8 and 9. 2 more chapters left. Yay! I really like this route, actually. I don't know. I like this route. I like Minami as a character. I like the fact that the love dynamic is not the same as it is in, like, every other route. Like, Minami doesn't want to be with her. He doesn't want to accept his feelings for her. And he's completely conflicted with what his demon wants and what his human self wants. And I like that. I like that it's different. And both of them. Both of them are like, I like you, but I don't want to admit that I like you. Anyway, that's the end of this episode. If you guys did enjoy it, drop a like down below and or subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one.